What up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, and today we've got a Wirecast tutorial, Wirecast 8, the first look, new features explained on Geekazine. Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in the geek, you got me, and we're going to have a good time here. We're going to learn about the newest version of Wirecast, Wirecast 8. And it's got some great new features here. But first of all, socials, just think Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in Geek, there you go. As you saw, new merch page with lots of cool shirts. You can go over to geekazine.com/merch to find out more on that. And of course, the new logo for the 10-year right there. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't it beautiful? So anyway, Wirecast, it's a great little program, and they just updated it to Wirecast 8 today, just now. Well, unless you're watching a couple months later, then it's not just now, it's a little bit later. But the whole idea is it's getting better and better and better and better and better and awesome. So, and you want to check it out yourself, get yourself a copy of Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com/Wirecast to find out more. Geekazine.com/Wirecast. If you like these videos, go ahead and tip me over at paypal.me/Jeff Powers. And of course, you can join the Patreon page over at patreon.com/Geekazine. And with YouTube, youtube.com/Geekazine. Like and subscribe, hit that little bell, and notifications of the next video will come out just like that. So Wirecast came out. I've got my MacBook Pro set up here. It's the 2016 3.1 gigahertz i7 MacBook Pro with 16 megabytes of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive. From what I understand, if you had an i5, you can still do it, but it really depends on what you want to do. Right now, this is my AMD FX 8350 chip, 16 megabytes of RAM. I got two different systems. I've been testing out Wirecast 8 for the last few weeks, and really cool, awesome features. I'm going to show you all the features. But first of all, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the dirt and the everything like that, and that's all your requirements, what you absolutely need for your Wirecast. Now, first of all, you got to have Windows 7. That's the absolute minimum. No XP, X no. So Mac OS Sierra or El Capitan recommends Sierra, and they recommend Windows 10 with all the latest updates. We got, for a minimal, it's a dual-core i5. Now, that would mean that you could do a nice 30 frames a second, 720p without a problem. I've done that for years with that type of machine, so that would not be a problem. On the Mac side, it's the same thing on the Mac side, i5, but they really suggest an i7 quad core at least 2.8 gigahertz. What else we got? 4 gigabytes of RAM, very important. 2 gigabytes of hard disk at 7200 RPMs, because it's going to be recording. Of course, they want you to have an SSD, something you can record to an SSD. Having a multiple drive system is always great. So when I'm on my laptop, I'll probably plug in an external drive. For your graphics, at least Intel HD3 graphics. Really, you know, NVIDIA or AMD, I've got an R9 390 chip in here. I know I've got the 560 chip in here in the MacBook Pro. So I'm pretty much set for that. And then, of course, now this is the important thing, because you don't see this, and that is the connection. If you decide to do Facebook Live or YouTube Live or anything like that, you want to make sure that that port 80 for HTTP or HTTPS is open. RTMP, very, very important if you are doing outside of Facebook and YouTube, because you're going to most likely be using that RTMP stream 1935. And there have been places that I've gone to, corporate sponsors that have brought me in to do some video, and I couldn't do any streaming because they blocked that port. I highly recommend, if you're going to be doing something like a corporate situation or anything like that, you want to have your own router there. Pass most of it through there. The only thing that's going out is to the YouTube Live, the Facebook Live, the live stream, the Ustream, the whatever stream you're using to send it out. Maybe you're sending it out to Wowza. Maybe you're sending it out to another machine. Anyway, that is all the requirements for your Wirecast. All right, so upgrade. What is Wirecast? They got a lot of fixes. They got a lot of upgrades. They've done some tweaks. They've done some fixes, and we're going to go through the basics there. But there's a whole document on what got upgraded, what got fixed, what got what's there. And you can check that out over at telestream.net. But we're going to go through the basics here. And first one was we're going to talk about the render engine, and because this is going to change the way that you set up your scenes and your master layers, and it's pretty cool. So they've got on-screen size and rotation. They'll actually have a circle and a dial there that you can rotate, you can resize your images a lot better than with previous versions. They now have a reflection option, so if you do picture-in-picture, you can have a nice little reflection. I'll show you that in a second. They have drop shadow options, especially for those texts. That's one thing that I hated, was having that text. It looked so plain. It needed like a little drop shadow, like for instance this little 1G right here, my 10-year Geekazine logo, having a little drop shadow to it pulls it out a little bit, and that would be really cool. So we got grid snapping, so you can actually place things without thinking, looking at the scene afterwards and going, oh wow, that one box is a little higher than the other box. Didn't you hate that when that happened? And then of course centering options, and I'm going to show you that right now. So we're going to move over to here. Here we are. We're on my MacBook Pro, and we're going to call up Wirecast. There we go. We're going to go into Wirecast 8 here, and it's going to call it up, and there we go. There I am. I've set up a really simple version with me in the FaceTime camera, and my audio is actually this Tascam USB 16:8, which is a nice little thing. Let me switch over here. Let's see if I can lift this up a little bit. You can see that in the frame, that I can actually do 16 channels in and 8 channels out, and there's a reason why I wanted to put this into the video, and I'll tell you in a minute here. So let's go back in here. Let's take a look of the things. First of all, like I said, on-side screens, resize, and rotation. So what that means is, when you come over here and you see me, you see this little thing right here, a little circle with an X. So it's right here, and basically this is the ability to do this. Whoa, I'm getting sick. So, and then, as you can see, it clicks into place. You see the yellow line right there. Let's let go. There we go. So I can go and I can turn me upside down really quick, especially if you're doing like some of those GoPro videos, and then you kind of forget that to change that setting to make it right side up. So now you can easily poof upside down. There you go, and it locks into place. All these snapping options, which is really cool. Same thing with the resize. You see all the you get some snapping options there. And then of course, if you go into the shot layers and you say reset position, scale to fit, blah blah, there you are right there. We also have this reflection option. This is awesome. So we'll make myself into a picture-in-picture here, and we'll angle it, and we'll go, hey, let's do a reflection. Let's do 25% reflection. Look at that. Oh, it's not a ripple reflection or anything like that, but it does actually add to the look there, and I could actually see myself setting up a scene like this that looks like this. Let's take the lookout, and we'll go like this. Now we've got it with the reflection down here, so you can kind of see it. And of course, my audio and video is a little bit off because I'm going through the desktop presenter. So we have that. We can choose a matte, of course. Let's do a cloud matte. So now we've got a cloud with a cloud reflection right there. We can do different other types of wobbly, a star, everything like that. So really cool. We're going to say no matte here. We're going to scale back to fit, and we're going to reset position. There, we're back to here. We'll turn off the reflection. Now, if you go down here, you can see we've got crop, color, and a new thing called drop shadow. And this is awesome. Like I said, this is more for text. So if I can come in here and I can go to text, and I can create a layer for text, and it'll say hello world, and I can put in a good drop shadow. Let's do a lighter drop shadow so you can see what's going on. There we go. And we can angle, we can offset, just like that. And we can resize so you can see what's going on. So there we go. You got a nice little hello world drop shadow with a drop shadow to it, and that's pretty straightforward. Just only a few seconds, and there I am. I'm creating the looks and the feels and the sounds and everything like that. Basically, that's it. Let's take the crop is pretty much the same. Color is pretty much the same. You've got saturation, hue, gamma, contrast, brightness, left, right, top, bottom. Simple as that. So, but with that, you've got more shot layer options, so you can do a lot more quick editing, and that's what's pretty cool about this. Up next is this audio ingest, and this is actually really cool for all of you that are going to be using Wirecast in different ways. It's giving you more tracks to work with. It's giving you the ability for multilingual streaming. It's giving you the ability for multi-language recording and support for commentary. So I could be sitting there and watching a baseball game or something like that, and you could have your commentators speaking English. You could have your commentators speaking Spanish. I'm going to show you what that means by flipping back over here. Boom! There we are, back to our Wirecast on the Mac, and it's actually fairly straightforward. You go into your USB, and that's why I have this Tascam 16:8 open. Now, if you go into the audio mixer from here, I'll show you this really quick. It just looks like this. And from here, you can do your dynamics, your DS, your EQ, your loudness, your limited multiband noise reduction, just like that. You can choose left, right, or stereo. It's very basic on that stuff. But this is where it comes in. We go to here, and we go to the sound, and we've got your volume, we've got your pan, we've got your meter, and we've got this map. We'll talk about that in a second. We've got channel 1, channel 2. That's your left channel, your right channel. However, we hit this little button right here. We can get more channels, up to 16. Isn't that awesome? 16 channels to do whatever you want. So if you're recording a band, if like I said, if you're recording different commentators or doing a dupe, you know, have audio for the actual video on one, and then do some sort of I don't know, something like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 or something like that. You can do that from there. All you have to do is activate the channels. So yeah, you can say, okay, I want to record left side, right side on channel 3, channel 4. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is how it really works. This is the map button is really going to explode this. You can choose what track, these are track input mappers to go to what track that would then be recorded in the video that would then go up from here. So basically what I have is track 1, channel 1, track 1 will go to track 1 right here. That'll record on track 1. On 2, channel 2, that'll record to track 2. Maybe that's my Spanish announcer. Track 3 will go to track 3, and you can say track 3 or track 5. You can choose all the tracks. You can choose none of the tracks, and then it doesn't get recorded to any of that. Of course, you go into the output settings, and let's see. We'll go to the output settings, and we'll say we'll go record to disk MP4. We'll go OK. And then we'll say which audio track selection. So we're going to do track 1, maybe we'll do track 3 and track 2. Oh no, we'll leave out track 2, and then we'll say OK, and it records to disk. We'll go back to output settings, YouTube stream. We'll say OK. And now I can say only track 2. And it looks like with YouTube you can only do 1 track at a time. And that makes sense. So now I could be recording in English, and I could be recording in Spanish, and I could be streaming in English, or vice versa. However that works. So we've got let's do some quick lots of features here that I'll run through really quick. We've got the clock source. We've got the override format detection and capture cards. So basically, like for instance, if you have a Blackmagic card, there's an area that you go for Blackmagic that you can change settings. This will override those settings in that software. So you don't have to, because there were many times that my Blackmagic card would think that I'm in composite mode instead of HDMI mode. I can actually change it in Wirecast and not have to worry about it. Also, we've got the deinterlacing toggle. So if you get into a situation where you need to deinterlace it, I'm not exactly sure how that is. I always set mine to deinterlace, but maybe you set up a scene on the fly and you forget to do that. You can now hot toggle it, so you can fix it as you go. The web.webm scene support. So, you know, if you have a podcast, a video podcast, or another video that's using WebM, which is an open source format, you can actually now bring that into your scenes just like you would an MP4 or MOV file. You can't record out to WebM. You still have to convert it, but you can bring stuff in, which is cool. It also accepts the Sony XAVCS support. So if you have a Sony camera, you can bring that in. The replay option now has a mute button to it, because a lot of people, I guess, they had sound coming in through the replay and they wanted to fix that. So now you can mute that out. And then, of course, Wirecast Cam is gone, and it's replaced by Wirecast Go, which you can download for your device. You can then use this, and I've used this as an extra camera on the fly when we had to get up close and personal. I just called it up. Now Wirecast Go, which means you can also put in lower thirds and other graphics, maybe even pre-record a file and say, I'm the roving reporter and this just happened, let's watch, then hit a button, and then you're watching the video you just recorded. That's pretty cool. So, and then of course the new transitions. I love, there's one transition I love the most, and that's the RGB. And it goes, if you go down, you'll see it right here, RGB channels. And basically all it does is that. Let's bring it back in. Let's, here we go. I'm coming back in. There I am, and now I'm out. So I'm not a big fan of the switches other than smooth and cut, but the RGB really, it's an awesome new feature. And of course they have some other of some other ones like the vacuum. I'm not sure which ones were on their crosshair. Let's see that. That's crosshair. And flip over, vacuum, cross dissolve, fly over. Just go, you can go through all of them. The clock source, all you have to do is hit the button in here and you come down, you say clock, and then it gives you a whole bunch of options for the clock. It's telling you the time or giving you a countdown. It looks like text, and then you just bring it in, you'll say okay. It brings up the clock. And then you can place it and you can turn it and whatever you need to do, put a reflection on it, blah blah blah. You get the idea. It's pretty straightforward from there. So this is genius. I've done it before. I've had a one-on-one conversations where I bring people in. I'll use like Skype or Google Hangouts, and of course Google Hangouts has been changing. So you kind of wonder, will it be around tomorrow? This can replace it, and it's pretty sweet because, you know, they don't have to install anything for them to get on camera, and that's called Rendezvous. And you can use it, you can copy the URL, send it to the guest, and then they just click on the URL. If they're in a browser that will allow them to do their webcam and their microphone, then they'll turn that on. They'll connect, and then of course you've got the guest scene. So let's show you how that goes here. So we're gonna go down here, we're gonna hit the plus button, we're gonna go to Rendezvous Session, open Rendezvous Bit Dashboard. That's going to bring up this little box right here. Let's bring it down a little bit. And basically this gives you a rendezvous. You can start a session. It gives you a URL, and there'll be a click to copy and go OK. And there it is right there. So now I'm going to go into my text file. All right, so I got the URL, and now I come over to my other browser right here, and I will put in that URL right there. It'll come up and it'll say, welcome, you're about to join a Wirecast Rendezvous session. So I'll put in my name, I'll hit and join, and that's gonna come over here. I now see a thing over on my other machine that says that Rendezvous is available. So I'm gonna come back over here. There we go. I'm gonna come back over here, close this out, and now if I hit this plus button, I have a rendezvous session. It says add Jeff to Rendezvous. And there, I've added that. So now it's coming over here, and you're seeing it. You can see it here. You see it on my screen. So now what I have to do is I have to add the rendezvous session. So I go down here and I say, open Jeff. And there it is right there. That's my rendezvous session coming back and forth. And you're seeing the you're basically seeing my main Wirecast session there. And of course, then I go in and I edit this to resize it, flip it around, whatever. And as you can see, this is 4:3, and I'm not sure if there is a 16:9 version, but even if I change this up, let's change it to here. From here, there we go. I have to think about this for a second, and I can choose I can do a screen share. To do screen share, you'll have to install some third-party software. That basically I'm using Chrome, so it's going to install it from there. So I'll do screen to, and I'll say share. So now on my MacBook Pro, you will see. Let's flip over there. Now you're going to see my second window, and this is what the person will see when they open up the rendezvous session. So that's how you set up a rendezvous session. Next up, the multi-viewer output. Now, if you've used other hardware, software devices, you might have this option to plug in a monitor to view all the scenes that you have set up, all the camera angles. If you've got one camera angle, it really doesn't matter too much. But if you've got, like, I just purchased the Magewell Pro card, so I can actually use 4 camera sources. So now I can hook up an external monitor to my Mac or to my PC, and then tell it to use that for a multi-view monitor. I can see my preview, I can see my post. If you've got the studio version, you can only see 4 devices. If you've got the Pro version, you can see I think up to 10, and of course that also depends on how much process on your computer you have. How do we do that? Well, we go over here, back over to our MacBook. We go to output, and now we have the multi-viewer output where we can configure displays. And with that, we have the configuration. Let's see if we can zoom in. There we go. So right now I'm saying the color LCD, which is this monitor, because I don't have another monitor hooked up to here. I could do a 10-slot horizontal split. I can do 4, I can do 1 shot, I can do 2, I can do 2 vertical, 2 horizontal. The labels, this is even cooler. You could say you put labels on here, either over the shot, underneath the shot, in the lower, like a little lower third, or don't put the labels on there. We'll hit this button, we'll say, okay, we want the preview here, we want the live here, we want the FaceTime camera here, which is the main camera I'm using, and then of course the clock here. There, we've just configured that. So now we go to output, multi-viewer output, and go color LCD, and there you go. A multi-viewer look, and as you can see, the green means that it's in preview, the red means that it's live. And then of course we got a clock right here, which you're not seeing because let me zoom out there. There we go. So what's really cool about this is now I could actually have myself and 3 other people come in, and we have a 4-corner video right there, which you can then go into Wirecast and set up a scene to capture that from over there. So, and of course, depending on how much process you have, how it will look and work from there, of course. So, but that is the multi-view display, so you can have 10, 12 cameras and know what to queue up next as you go doing maybe a church event or a live band event or anything like that. And there you go. That is the features of Wirecast 8. These are some great new features, some new abilities for you to really expand what you're doing. Like I said, you could have a sports scene where you have English commentators or Spanish commentators, and they're doing what they're doing, and it's going to the channels that you're asking, and you can have it go to one channel and mix it down later. You can set up a multi-view display so you can see what you're going to queue up next for that live band shot. And of course the updated codecs, so you can get up to 60 frames a second in your gameplay in your sports scenes or in videos like this with Geekazine. So lots of cool stuff. This has been the first look, and of course, new features explained for Wirecast 8 on the Wirecast tutorials. Of course, I got a ton of tutorials you can check out. A lot of them, they're still prevalent from 7 to 8, including the NDI, and I still haven't gotten all the cool NDI stuff that I'm waiting for. But being able to come in via NDI, being able to go out via NDI, and there's probably going to be a new desktop broadcaster, which I haven't been privy to, that will help you probably switch over to the NDI protocol. Because it's such a latency-free protocol. It's amazing what you can do with that. So you can also follow me over on the socials. Think Magazine, put in a geek, and you can go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, youtube.com/Geekazine. Remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when the next video comes up. And of course, comment and like and comment. Tell me what you like about this. Tell me what you don't like about this. And if you're going to be doing the upgrade to the newest version of Wirecast. And then, of course, don't forget that merch store over at geekazine.com/merch so we can keep these lights on for you. Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine. Thanks a lot for watching. You guys geek out. Until next time, and take care.